All right, we are here. I think this is working. I think it's working. I hope it's working. Hey, welcome. It's a late night news update. We haven't done a stream here in a while, but we're trying it. I hope you can hear me. Let's see if the sound works. Ooh, can you hear me or not? Let's try this again. Test 1, 2. Can I hear myself? Can you hear me? Okay, all working. You're hearing the sound. Everybody's hearing. Wonderful, wonderful. Good. So yeah, we haven't done, we're still developing this channel, Agenda Free TV 2. It's a place where we'll do some other news stories besides on Agenda Free TV. And we haven't done the official announcement yet for the channel because still kind of figuring everything out here. You know, it's a little weird I noticed before we get into it. I think it's still not, probably because I changed the name of the channel. Originally it was AFTV2, but then I realized that wouldn't work because it was a channel called AFTV. So I changed it to Agenda Free TV 2. But if you look up Agenda Free TV 2, it doesn't come up in the search. It's still only searchable as AFTV2. So it's kind of weird. So I hope that eventually gets fixed. But see, the channel name is Agenda Free TV 2. So I'll have to message them about that. I'm going to message them about that because people will search and they won't be able to find it. Okay, so I'm sorry about that, but I will work on that. I mean, it's my. I'm partially to blame because I originally called the channel something else. But anyways, we're here. So thank you for joining us. Thanks everybody who's there in the chat room. Misha's moderating right now. Chromite, Mark Helton, all moderating. And we're just going to catch up on a couple of the news stories today. We're going to take some of your comments on them. And we'll go from there. So I first want to talk about this Nancy Pelosi story. You know, we haven't covered it. And I think for a lot of people, depending on how they see things politically, they just react quickly one way or the other and they say, oh, Nancy Pelosi, it's terrible. She's awful and she shouldn't have done this. Or like, oh, the hair salon owner is out to get Nancy Pelosi. So I just wanted to kind of just try to cover it with a little calmness and talk a bit about the details of what's going on. And I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about the whole thing. I feel like it's a much, surprise, surprise, a news story that's way more complex than most people portray it as. It's a situation that's much more complex than is commonly portrayed on both sides. Surprise, surprise. That's how I see it. So I want to just go over some of the details about what happened. Some new stuff came out today. But here's my understanding of what happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll read some of the detailed stuff too. But here's a picture of her at the salon. So there's Nancy Pelosi. So as I understand it, on Monday, Nancy Pelosi called somebody to get her hair done. Made an appointment with an individual stylist. She didn't go to a salon and say, anybody here, can anybody here do my hair? Hello, salon? No, there was an individual person that she wanted to do her hair. And then that person said, I can do it and you should come to this salon. Okay? That's how I understand it. So she needed to get her hair done. She found a person to do it and the person said, come to this salon. So she goes to the salon and she gets her hair done there. Now remember, in San Francisco, as of Monday on San Francisco, salons were not officially open for indoor customers. Salons were not allowed to have indoor customers on Monday, as I understand it. Okay, so the salon shouldn't have been having indoor customers, as I understand it. I believe they were allowed to have outdoor customers, not indoor customers. So she goes there and gets this person, she makes this appointment, the person says, go to the salon. She goes there, she gets her hair done, and then then this footage comes out, security footage. I believe this was released by the owner, but this is a security footage. I'll double check the articles on that. Comes out, and she is at the salon getting her hair done, which she did get her hair done by the person who was at the salon. And so that comes out, and then she today said that she had been told the salon was allowed to have one person at a time in the store by whoever she was speaking to there. So she figured, well, they know what they're doing, so that's fine. And then she also claimed it was a setup of some sorts. We'll talk about that in a second. And then her stylist said he's been working at that salon for 6 years. And her stylist said that the owner has been illegally running the salon and regularly having the people who work at the salon do people's hair at the salon, including Nancy Pelosi, but also other people, and that this kind of thing has just been going on there regularly. And her stylist said that he had asked the owner permission to do this, and the owner, I guess, does not like Nancy Pelosi and made some negative comments about Nancy Pelosi. So there's this question: did like the owner? One question is like, is the idea like? Is this something that was going on a lot at the salon, but then when Nancy Pelosi came in, the owner publicized that because she didn't like Nancy Pelosi? But the owner says she thinks it's hypocritical of Nancy Pelosi, I believe, to go into the salon when the salon shut down. It's complex. The more I talk about it, the more complex it gets. So I want to just go over some of the details here, but it's not like what didn't happen here is Nancy Pelosi goes to a salon and says, knock, knock, knock. I know you're not supposed to be open, but can you please do my hair? And they're like, okay, well, you're Nancy Pelosi, so you can come in. It's not as simple as that. I want to take some comments from you guys on this. We'll go over some of the details. What I've been trying to think about, like how I feel about this. Certainly, I think that given that salons are not supposed to be operating in San Francisco, she and her team should know that. Somebody in her Nancy Pelosi's team should know the rules about what's allowed in San Francisco and should have known that salons are not allowed to have indoor customers. And given that knowledge, she should not have gone to a salon because basically she's going to assuming it's correct that this salon regularly does this, she's still going to a salon that's operating illegally. So it's just odd and it doesn't look good for her to be going to this business that's operating illegally. And that's just, to me, incompetence on the part of somebody. Or I don't, maybe they told her don't go and she's like, no, I'm going. That would be her fault. So anyways, it's just kind of dumb that she ended up there. Now, also though, I certainly feel like Nancy Pelosi, I don't begrudge her getting her hair done. So why do they shut down salons in cities? Well, they shut down salons, I think, for a couple reasons. First of all, you're trying to prevent the virus. That's why salons would be shut down. But you're trying to prevent them in two ways. You're trying to prevent close contact between customers and the people working there because they could give it to each other. And also you're trying to prevent a situation, I think, maybe secondarily, where there's lots of people in an enclosed space for a long amount of time. But maybe the main reason you shut down salons is because you don't want to have somebody doing somebody else's hair right next to them and they're giving each other the virus, So, the goal of shutting down salons is to have fewer contacts between people. So, given that that's the case, you might say, well, should Nancy Pelosi be getting her hair done at all? If if San Francisco shuts down salons, that's San Francisco saying we don't want contact. We don't want people doing other people's hair and, within 1 foot of them for an hour or whatever it takes. So whether you do it at the salon or do it, the real point is to stop people from, doing each other's hair who don't know each other and are giving each other the virus. So, so you might say that the spirit of the salon regulation in San Francisco is to keep people from getting haircuts, basically. If that's the case, you might say, well, should she be getting her hair done at all? If in San Francisco they have this rule against salons, which is designed to not have people get their hair done to keep the virus from spreading. Now, something I would say is this. She's the Speaker of the House, so like President Trump and like, say, certain professions, I think there are certain professions where you could argue it's so in public that there's some sort of argument that could be made that you should make an exception for that person to get their hair done. So I could see people having different opinions on whether President Trump should get his hair done. But I guess you could argue, well, he could get tested and the hairdresser could get tested. So I don't know how the testing worked here. But my point is this. I don't necessarily have a problem with the idea that Nancy Pelosi is getting her hair done at all. Because she is the Speaker of the House, in the same way that I don't have a problem with President Trump getting his hair done because he's the president, but hopefully they can test or take precautions. You don't want to spread the virus. So anyways, I guess my point here as I ramble on here, my point is I feel like people have this, when they hear this story, they immediately say, oh, I'm mad at Pelosi, or oh, I'm mad at the salon owner. But I think it's important to get a little clear on what exactly are you mad about. Because when I hear this story, I felt like uncomfortable with the idea that she was going to the salon, but then I started thinking about it and I was like, well, what is it exactly that I'm uncomfortable about? It's not the fact that just she's getting a haircut or getting her hair done. So what is it that I'm uncomfortable about? I do think there is, if not, one thing is that the business isn't supposed to be operating at all, and she's being a customer in an illegally operating business. So that certainly doesn't strike me as a good thing. I just think it's a complex situation. So what I want to do is I want to quickly go over some of the stuff from today, and then I'd like to get your opinions on this. But I just, if the opinion is I hate Pelosi or I hate the salon owner, well, that's not a very well-reasoned criticism to me. I don't find that very compelling. But maybe you have something more specific you're upset about. So, see, Sonny Tejada says I'm being a hypocrite. Sonny Tejada says, you're being a hypocrite, Steve. So what am I being a hypocrite about in what I just said? See, this is what happened. I come on the air and I try to carefully explain myself and give you careful arguments for what I think and what I think the issues are. And someone just says, you're just being a hypocrite. I'm being a hypocrite? How? I'm just trying to clarify what's going on with the story. Oh, okay. Now something else. So Sharon says, mad that I'm sitting here totally messed up and she's getting her hair done. So again, first, let me just say, first of all, she's not the one who closes the salon in San Francisco. She's the Speaker of the House. The salons in San Francisco are closed either because the state said they should be closed or the city said she should be closed. So she's not the one deciding whether the salon should be closed. Okay, so first of all, let's establish that. But if you're upset that Nancy Pelosi is getting her hair done while how about this? If you're upset that Nancy Pelosi is getting her hair done while you sit at home and you can't get your hair done, you should be just as upset that Donald Trump is getting his hair done. If you're upset that Nancy Pelosi is getting her hair done and if the bare fact that she's getting her hair done by a professional hairdresser while you're sitting at home, if that gets you angry, then you should be if you're going to be consistent, you should be just as angry that President Trump gets his hair done. There's no reason why one should get you angry and the other doesn't. It's two politicians who are both getting their hair done. Now, maybe you're upset she's getting it done at a salon, but I mean, that she could have had it done. So does that mean you would have been okay with it if she just said, oh, okay, well, person at the salon, instead of going there like you suggested, why don't you come to my office and do it? That's really what you're mad at? That she had it done at the salon because the person asked her to do it there? So again, you know, I know people have these, I just think it's an interesting issue because I feel like people have these instinctive reactions to it, but I think you want to ask yourself, what am I really upset about? Okay. Let's just go over here first of all. Let's just go over some basics here. All right. So headline aside, Nancy Pelosi stylist backs up speaker's claim she was set up by salon. The setup stuff, that's a whole other issue. All right. So Speaker of the House visited a salon on Monday in San Francisco despite health orders ordering them to stay closed. Okay. Now again, the story is the salon the salon shouldn't be open, but apparently the salon is having employees make individual appointments with people and running out of and have them at the salon. Okay, so here, all right. So there's a security camera clip of her salon visit ended on Fox News. Let's see. It wasn't clear. This is from East Bay Times. It wasn't clear how Fox News obtained the security camera footage from East Salon on Union Street, showing Pelosi without a mask on. Oh, okay. Something about this, about the not a mask on. It looks like she might be wearing something around her neck. She claimed that she had just gotten her hair washed. So I don't know if she was wearing her mask regularly during that visit or not. I mean, she should be, but it's also possible that she was and that this is literally, they had taken it off for a second or something because she had just gotten her hair washed and her face was wet or whatever. So I can't speak to that. But I certainly think people should be wearing masks wherever they can. Okay, so the Pelosi's hairstylist accused the owner of the salon of having it in for Pelosi. Indoor operations resumed Monday at hair salons and barbershops in some Bay Area counties, but not in San Francisco, which only gave the green light for salons to open outdoors starting Tuesday. And this was Monday. The e-salon owner, Erica Kius, told Fox News she was outraged to learn of Pelosi's visit with a stylist who rented space from her salon. All right, so this is interesting. This is what the owner said. The owner's view, the owner says it was a slap in the face that she went in, that she feels she can just go and get her stuff done when no one else can go in and I can't work. Now, I want to look at this. I want to look at this statement for a second. This is from the owner. So the owner says it was a slap in the face that she went in, that she can just go and get her stuff done while no one else can go in and I can't work. Okay? So she's upset. I want to try to figure out what is she upset about exactly. Now remember, she's the owner. She's the owner of the salon, and according to the stylist at the salon, this salon has been doing this. So they can't open fully. I'm sure they're losing money at the salon, but they have been having these illicit appointments at the salon. So she feels like Nancy Pelosi is doing something that the average person can't do, and that gets her mad. Well, I don't think she thinks that because other people who aren't famous have been coming into salon getting their hair done too. So I understand Erica Kius is angry, the owner of the salon. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what she's angry about. I'm just trying to parse the statement and trying to figure out what she's angry about. So, like, it would if Nancy Pelosi was the person who had shut down salons in San Francisco, I totally get clearly where the anger comes from, because she'd be saying, look, this person shut down our salon and now they're coming in here getting a haircut. But remember, Nancy Pelosi has nothing to do with the salon being shut down. Nancy Pelosi is a national politician. That decision is made on the local level. So it wouldn't make sense if she's mad at Nancy Pelosi because Nancy Pelosi closed her salon, because Nancy Pelosi didn't close her salon. So again, what is she mad at with Nancy Pelosi? Is she mad at the fact? I mean, now it sounds like maybe she's mad at the fact that Nancy Pelosi feels she's above the rules that everybody else has to live by. Okay, and maybe that's the case, but then the owner should be just as mad at all of the other customers who've been using her salon allegedly, because, again, according to the stylist, the salon has been operating this way for a while. So is she just as mad at every other customer who comes in and uses the salon illegally as she is at Nancy Pelosi? So again, I understand she's mad. I'm just trying to get at what she's exactly mad about. Because I don't want to say she's just mad because she hates Nancy Pelosi, because that wouldn't be very charitable of me. So, but as I try to figure out what she's mad about, it's not the easiest thing to figure out what exactly she's mad about. I'm not going to say she's just mad that it's Nancy Pelosi. But again, if she's just mad, if she's only mad at Nancy Pelosi because Nancy Pelosi thinks she's above the rules and she's getting her hair done while other people can't, well, if she's going to be consistent, then she should be just as mad at all the other customers who are coming in. Now, maybe this statement aside, maybe she's mad at Nancy Pelosi because she feels that if Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House and Nancy Pelosi is from this area, she really should respect the rules. And it's like bad of her, and it's inappropriate for someone who's such a prominent politician to be taking part in an illicit scheme when, an illicit scheme, and it's just inappropriate for her when businesses have been shut down to be, flouting the rules. And I can understand that. It's a bit different than what she says here, I feel like. But maybe that's what she meant. Maybe the owner is just upset because she feels that, like, Nancy Pelosi is not showing a proper appreciation for the rules that have been set. Or it's not. I genuinely think the owner is mad at Nancy Pelosi. I'm trying to just figure out what exactly she's mad about, and there's some different things it could be, and it's not clear to me from the statement. Okay. All right, so hang on. So I'm going to get to your comments in a second. So anyways, a law firm representing the stylist released a statement. So this is the statement. I wanted to show you what the law firm representing Nancy Pelosi's hairstylist said. This is interesting. This office represents the interests of Jonathan DiNardo, a California certified cosmetologist based out of San Francisco. Okay? In response to press inquiries on the matter, Mr. DiNardo can confirm that he indeed did provide professional stylist services to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on August 31st at the E-Salon. Mr. DiNardo at all times took all requisite safety measures, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Mr. DiNardo has worked at this salon for approximately 6 years and regularly communicates with the salon owner, Erica Kius. In fact, Mr. DiNardo received advance approval from Mr. Kios the day prior to the appointment during a telephone discussion. So the owner of the salon, she's the one who's very mad about this, she did approve Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done there. She approved it the day before, according to the stylist. And then Mr. DiNardo, the stylist, advised the owner, Ms. Cuse, that he would not proceed with Speaker Pelosi's appointment without Ms. Cuse's, the owner's, authorization. Ms. Cuse took special interest in the appointment during this telephone call, wherein she made several vitriolic and incendiary comments about Speaker Pelosi and her purported responsibility for temporarily suspending operations of Ms. Cuse's business, despite such orders actually being put into place not by Speaker Pelosi, but by the governor of California and the mayor of San Francisco. So the stylist says that when he first asked the owner if he could cut Nancy Pelosi's hair there, she was saying some angry things about Nancy Pelosi and also implying that Nancy Pelosi had played a role in shutting down the salon, even though she did not. Okay, ultimately, the owner did approve of the stylist to do the hair appointment there at the salon. This office, hold on a second. This law office is in possession of photos, videos, and witness information that the owner, contrary to her prior statements to the press, has actually been operating her business during the stay-at-home orders and similar executive orders limiting in-store operations since as far back as April. The owner is seen on photographs and video footage styling various clients' hair, ignoring social distancing guidelines, and not wearing protective equipment, as recently as a few days prior to Speaker Pelosi's appointment. What's more, the owner, according to the stylist, has been actively encouraging and almost forcing stylists who operate at eSalon to violate such orders for her own financial benefit in the form of receiving lease payments. So the stylist says that he has photographs. The stylist lawyers say that they have photographs, video, and witness information which show that this salon has been doing these kind of appointments since April. The fact that now the lawyer for the stylist says the fact that Mrs. Cuse is now objecting to Speaker Pelosi's presence at eSalon, and from a simple surface-level review of Ms. Cuse's political leanings, it appears Ms. Cuse is furthering a setup of Speaker Pelosi for her own vain aspirations. That's what the stylist lawyer says. Mr. DiNardo's name has now been dragged through the mud simply for following the owner's recommendations. Okay, so that's from the lawyer of the stylist. So anyways, I feel it's kind of a complex situation. I certainly don't approve of any elected official. I don't approve of anybody breaking state and local regulations designed to keep people from spreading the coronavirus. So I don't care who it is. If a certain store or a certain business is not supposed to be operating, I don't approve of anyone taking a role in operating that business, including Nancy Pelosi. So I certainly don't approve of that, because she goes to that salon, it's not supposed to be open, and she's there getting her hair done. Now she might say, "Oh, well, I thought they told me it was okay." That I don't, if she's the Speaker of the House and she's from there, that's not a good excuse. Like, someone on her team should know that there's a regulation against them being open. So I don't buy the ignorance excuse on her part. I don't think that excuses her from it. So I certainly think that I don't approve of that. At the same time, as the Speaker of the House, just like with President Trump, I do think there's an argument that she should be allowed to have a professional do her hair. So, is the issue really ultimately that she had the hair? Because she could have just hired somebody to come to her house and do it. So if she had just hired somebody to come to her house, which she could have done, I would assume a lot of people do that kind of thing. And I don't know if that is even, I don't know what the legality of that is in San Francisco. But anyways, but she could have done that. Would people be more okay with it if she did that? So, but now on the other hand, as to the owner of, so I do disapprove of Nancy Pelosi going to the salon, getting her hair done, given that the businesses are not supposed to be open. Now, the owner being really bad at Nancy Pelosi, well, again, it's a little, I'd like to know what the owner thinks about other customers, because if the owner is just mad at Nancy Pelosi for getting her hair cut at a salon when salons are not supposed to be open, is she just as mad at all the other customers she's had come in? Or is there something specific about Nancy Pelosi? If she's mad about Nancy Pelosi because she thinks, well, Nancy Pelosi shut down my salon and now she's using it. Well, Nancy Pelosi didn't shut down the salon. She's not a local politician. She's national. But maybe she's more just mad at Nancy Pelosi because she feels like it's not appropriate for like such a high elected official to be violating, regulations on businesses that have shut down businesses. So I understand that kind of thing. So, but it's a little, it gets a little weird to me with the fact that the owner had been operating this salon, for allegedly for months, since April, and doing these kind of appointments. So, like, I guess my question is, how much of the owner's anger at Nancy Pelosi, like, here's my question. I guess I could phrase it this way. If instead of the Speaker of the House, it was like the House Minority Leader, if Mitch McConnell had done the same thing at the salon, would the salon owner have been as upset? Now, maybe the salon owner would say, well, Nancy Pelosi's a Democrat and they want to shut things down more. So she might say something like that. I don't know. But anyways, I think this is a complex issue. I'm not even sure what I feel about it. All right, I've been rambling about this for a while. All right, let me read through some of the comments. Hang on a second here. Renee says she should have hired a stylist to do it at her house since she shut down salons. Well, Renee is listening. Renee isn't, this is the kind of thing. I'm on here and I'm trying to be careful, and I just explained to you, and I read the lawyer's letter saying Nancy Pelosi didn't shut down the salons because she's a national politician and the salons are shut down by state and local officials. But then Renee says, well, she shut down the salons. So I don't know what else I can do. If you're not going to listen to anything I say and just base your argument on the false premise that Nancy Pelosi shuts down salons, well, it's just a bad argument. You're not listening. Of course, if Nancy Pelosi shut down the salon and then she went to get her hair done, that would be awful. But she doesn't shut down the salons. Just trying to encourage people to just be calm and try to, and really, before you get an instinctive reaction and lash out one way or the other, to just look at the facts for a second. That's a big reason I didn't cover this story initially. Because as soon as I saw the story, I said, you know what, I bet this is more complex than people are making it, but no one wants to hear about complexities. Everybody wants to just jump on one way or the other and go rah, 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 and have a very simplistic take. Michelle says, all my customers are doing on the hush-hush. I don't know if Michelle means having it cut at the salon or having it cut at home. Rita's Real says, 2 wrongs don't make a right, and they're both wrong. I'm curious if the stylist has been paying his booth rental to eSalon while they've been shut down. Yeah, I think like Rita, I think this could be a case where you have, like, there's no clear hero and villain here. I think there's multiple people you can look at and say, I don't approve of what they're doing. Look, I don't approve of Nancy Pelosi taking part in an illicit event in an illicit business enterprise, and I don't approve of the owner running the illicit business enterprise. Patrick Peterson says someone on her team she should know. Well, it's an interesting question of whether Nancy Pelosi should know the regulations about San Francisco salons. Well, she should, hang on a second. And I want to just say her district Nancy Pelosi's district that she represents it's entirely within San Francisco. She's from the area. You would think. So on the one hand, you can't expect, the Speaker of the House to know every local regulation. But you would think Nancy Pelosi, if she's going to get her hair done, right? She's like, I need my hair done. You'd think before she went to a salon, she would just think to herself, if she didn't know the regulations, you'd think she'd think, I probably should find out if we're allowed to go to salons, if they're even open. Like, you'd think she'd think that. Now, I don't know. She said, I think her comment, she said that, like, they trusted the salon to tell her what to do. But it seems like, I don't know that that's the case. Maybe it's possible she knew it was illicit and she just went anyway. Where's the quote from Pelosi here? So I don't know what she knew, but you'd think she would at least. It's not that hard to find that out. You'd think she would say to somebody on her team, "Hey, can we just make sure that that this is allowed?" I'm trying to find her statement. Okay, here it is, I think. Is this it? Let's see. This is Pelosi's deputy chief of staff said Pelosi and her staff had relied on the interpretation of someone at the salon about what was allowed by new city regulations that had just gone to effect on Friday, and that the person was incorrect. So is it really true that they just relied on this person at the salon to tell them what they were allowed to do? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's not true. Maybe they knew it was illicit, but they did it anyways. But that's not a great excuse to me. Like, you should double check yourself, because you should know, like, if nothing else, it'll just look whether or not you should. I think you should just not do it. But whether or not you want to do it, it's also going to look really bad. Void Moon says all three broke the rules. Why each is mad is irrelevant. Oh, Sunny Tejada says, I love these kind of comments. Steve, you have unmasked yourself. The mask has slipped. But there's no argument whatever that Sunny Tejada makes how somehow on this broadcast my mask has slipped. Arun says, Pelosi is wrong, Steve, just say it. Well, you're so angry, Arun, that you're so angry your brain has stopped listening, because I did say she was wrong to go to a place that's operating illicitly. But you're so angry at me, you're not even hearing me say that. Some of these comments are incredible. Screaming at people. I'm screaming at people. Gosh. This is why I don't like covering these stories. Trying to just have a calm, rational discussion about it, and everybody wants to be nuts. Arun says, I'm in Cali, she's a beast. That's an intelligent comment to put in the chat room for this story. Toasty Mike says, Steve is defending the undefendable. Now, Toasty Mike, when did I do that on this stream? Please tell me when I defended the undefendable. Oh, Gunnier says, this is about all about the orange man bad, always. Oh, I see. Even though I barely mentioned Trump on this stream, and I said he should be allowed to get his hair done, this stream is actually about orange man bad. All right, that's it. Toasty Mike is out. Bye. Go find another channel. Enough of you. Enough. If you're going to be a nutcase, and if you're going to be a nutcase and just rah, and say the same thing over and over and can't have a calm, rational discussions about things, this is not the channel for you. Go to another channel. Goodbye. When I was growing up, there was this guy, Eddie Andelman, who used to do talk radio. He was great. But when the callers would get unreasonable, he'd say, goodbye, goodbye, and he'd just hang up on them. That's what I said. Goodbye. Anyways. Now, Mark Worling says, why don't they show the whole video of her getting her hair cut? They only showed her after she washed her hair, no mask. So Mark makes a good point here, and I don't know the answer. The clip I saw just has her walking out of this room, okay? I don't own the clip, so I'm not going to show the clip, but you can find it. But it's basically, she's like walking out from one room to the other. So remember, Nancy Pelosi's staff member said that she was wearing her mask, but she had taken it off, I think, because she was getting her hair done at the time. So I don't know, but, it would be kind of odd if you found out that 99% of the time she was in there, that she had a mask on, and that whoever leaked this video, cut out the 7 seconds with the mask off. Alternately, you could look at it and she might have had the mask off, the whole time. I don't know what the truth is. Missouri Cowboy says, show all the customers, prosecute them all. So, I'd like to hear, I don't know. I need to go. I haven't watched it yet. I probably should watch her Fox interview, the owner's Fox interview. But I'd be interested in knowing exactly what, there's different things she could be upset about, and I'm not sure which of those are. But anyways, I certainly don't begrudge Nancy Pelosi being able to get her hair done as Speaker of the House. So it's just kind of stupid that she did it. Why did she go to a salon? She could have just had the person go to her house. Although that might not be allowed in San Francisco, in which case she shouldn't do it there either. Oh, I see. Look, Brian Rosso. Here's I think we have a Putin bot. Hey, let's say hello to our Putin bot, Brian Rosso. Why am I saying Brian is a Putin bot? Because it's Brian Rosso. Brian Rosso is literally not listening to anything I say. And Brian Rosso says, Steve agrees that Pelosi is above the law, which has nothing to do with anything I've said at all. So thank you, Putin bot, Brian Rosso. You just got timed out. Putin bot Brian got timed out. Man. Doesn't even have to do with what we're discussing. Anyone else want to weigh in on this story? I never thought we'd. It's so funny. We've barely talked about this. I feel like I rushed through all the details. How long have we been on the air for now? 47 minutes. Missouri Cowboy says, I do begrudge any and all that violate standards in place to help prevent me from becoming infected and dying. I want to live. Patrick says, Nancy's high risk because of her age, so she should be more careful than others. You know, another thing I'm interested in is, when this appointment happens, does Nancy Pelosi get tested? Does the hairdresser get tested? As I said before, I think an argument could be made for certain people, like the president and Nancy Pelosi, that they should be allowed to get their hair done because of the nature of their job. But then you'd want people to get tested, because the point of not allowing people to get their hair done is to prevent the virus from spreading. So another thing I'd be interested in a situation like this is, was she tested and was the hair person tested? And I don't know the answer to that. River says, it seems like the common sense of everyone involved has fallen out their window. Holo Amasim says, if we change this story to person X goes to place Y and then details, how much attention would it get? And or how many others are doing the same? Well, it's from what I've heard, it's not uncommon for people to be getting stuff done on the side hair-wise. Although this is an interesting situation, because this is a salon that's supposed to be closed, and allegedly it's been basically open in a limited way for months. But how much is this stuff going on? I mean, I'm sure that there are stylists like going to people's houses and stuff, and I don't even know if that violates, like in San Francisco, is it legal for a hairstylist to go to your house and do your hair there? I just don't know. But yeah, I'm guessing there's people in all kinds of localities, in all kinds of businesses flouting the rules. Rita's Real says the owner is the one who told on her own salon why. So I'm assuming it was the owner, but I don't know. I haven't seen confirmation that the owner is the one who released the video. The video got out there, but I'd be pretty surprised if the owner didn't know about the video and didn't know about it getting leaked, but I have no idea. Now the owner must think that they're not going to get in trouble for flouting the rules. I don't know, maybe not. Oh, now Heidi says to say she was set up is ridiculous. So I'm glad Heidi said that. So I do think this idea of, I'm not really getting this. So Nancy Pelosi's stylist backs up claims she was set up. So in what sense is she set up? Because set up would imply, almost like, to me, a setup would be like, hey, Nancy, come over here and get your hair done. We just opened today. Like they would entice her to come. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is the one who initiated it. And then I don't think it was like, let's trick her into coming to the salon. Like, I don't know. You'd have to actually get into what the word setup actually means in everyday usage and whether this qualifies. It doesn't hit me as clearly a setup because Nancy Pelosi did say she wanted her hair done, did make the appointment, and then didn't bother to check whether it was real. I don't know if she did, but she ended up there when it wasn't allowed, when the place wasn't allowed to be open. So at a certain point, if she's making the appointment and she's going there and it wasn't allowed to be open, I mean, is it really a setup? I mean, at any time, Nancy Pelosi could have, or her staff could have checked the rules and figured out it wasn't open. You know? So I don't, it's a weird phrase to me, setup. I mean, I understand Rita's Reel saying, well, the owner approved her coming. And then, the owner approved her coming, but then possibly the owner is the one who ratted her out. But I mean, like if you're Nancy Pelosi and you go somewhere to get your hair done, you have to assume there's a chance somebody will find out. Dave says they were doing that in New Jersey during the shutdown. All of the politicians and police were getting haircuts and they got caught. Michelle, my understanding is that this salon is not supposed to have anybody there. Yeah, health orders ordering them to stay closed. Oh, Triquetra says they also are specifically not allowed to blow dry, and she specifically went for that. Yet I feel like I read something about that somewhere, but I don't want to. I don't know the specifics of that. All right, I'm going to move on from this story. We could sit here and argue about it for 4 hours. So I'm going to move on from this story. But look, the point I'm trying to make is I feel like this story is more complex than a lot of the initial reactions to it would suggest. I think it's just there's a lot going on here, and I think there's not, to me, one clear villain in the story. As some other people have been saying, there's multiple people who I feel could be blamed for things. I would encourage you to kind of, before you have an initial reaction to the story, look at the details of it and think about, what am I really upset about? Exactly. To try to help clarify your thinking. That's what I would suggest. Because everybody always wants to emotionally react and on their side and just say, this is good, this is bad, rah, 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 rah. And it's just, a lot of times the stories are, pretty much always the story is more complex than the headline makes it. Yeah, no, I agree, like what Button says. Button says she's not apologizing, she's deflecting and blaming everyone else. Yeah, from what I understand, I haven't seen a statement of apology. I was just reading you that article with a statement from her office. Her office said in a statement, CNN, her office said in a statement that she got her hair styled there. Oh, yeah, and so Pelosi staff said the speaker had a regular stylist who typically goes to her house to do her hair, but that person was not available. So Pelosi and referred Pelosi staff to a stylist at the salon because it's where that stylist used to work. And then where's the thing about Pelosi demanding an apology? I don't think Pelosi apologized for anything. Yeah, here's this. Pelosi refuses to apologize. I mean, if nothing else, you'd think there'd be an apology like, look, this business was not supposed to be open. I went to a business that was not supposed to be open, and therefore I participated in the functioning of a business. She could even say, I was not aware. She could even say, look, I was not aware they weren't supposed to be open, but I after the fact, I did end up participating in a business being open that shouldn't have been open, and I apologize for that. And next time I won't trust somebody's word on whether they should. I'll look up the rules for myself. I don't know what would be so bad about her saying that, I just, she did go to a business that was illicitly operating and participate in it. Misha says she should say, I apologize. I made a bad call. Boom, boom, done. And she honestly could have said everything else she said and just added, I apologized. I mean, she could have basically taken the same position while apologizing and not using the word setup. I don't know why she had to do those two things. Just say, I didn't know. Our bad, I trusted them. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. But you could just say, our bad, I trusted them. But after next time I will not trust anybody in these rules, and I'll make sure that we know the rules. That's all you have to say. Anyways. All right, let's move on to the next story. We're moving on to the next story. That took a while. Now, Trump's sword is saying, if your legal business or profession is suddenly deemed illegal and that is the only way you put a roof over your head. Yeah, so that sounds like people in the chat room are talking about whether businesses should be shut down or not. But that's not really what we're talking, like that's not what this, like, I haven't, that's like a different issue. So, I mean, the rules are the rules the way they are now. So, whether or not you think this thing should be shut down, that's not her. She's not doing that. But anyways, I think people were talking about that in a different sense. So I'm not saying it's a perfectly legitimate issue to talk about, but I'm not going to get into that right now because I feel like it's like a different issue. Bob Robb says it's exactly what this is about. So, again, somebody might say, Nancy Pelosi is using this service, but they're shut down. But again, Nancy Pelosi is not the one who shut the services down. She's a national politician. The state and local people shut the services down. Also, practically speaking, she'd be getting her hair done anyway, just like President Trump would. Like, are you again? I'm not going to be angry at Nancy Pelosi just for getting her hair done. If you're angry at Nancy Pelosi for getting her hair done at all, when salons are shut down, you should be just as mad at President Trump for getting his hair done. So, given her job, I'm willing to cut her some slack on just getting her hair done. And the fact that she got it done at a salon, well, the location isn't really that relevant because she could have had the person do it at her house. So I'm not mad that she got her hair done during a pandemic because I feel like, for a few people, including President Trump, I understand the argument that they should be allowed to get their hair done if they can do it safely. Oh, hey, Gunler, you're getting very close to getting booted. You're getting close to getting the boot. No, Bob Robb, she's not a local politician. She's a House of Representatives. She represents a locality, but she's a national representative. Now, federal government doesn't make the shutdown rules, Bob Robb. Come on. All right, let's talk about the other story. Let's talk about another story. We got to move on. All right, let's talk about this other story. Hold on. The one thing I have to do is I need to I have to fix the air conditioning in here. I didn't turn it down enough. I hope the one message I would like to convey is that the story is more complex than the initial reactions might make it seem. I want to talk about this story for a second. Hang on, give me 1 second though. Good discussion though. Except for a few people, a few select people. I think people were bringing up very interesting and relevant points. Except for a few people. Ugh, I am so close. Bob Rob is so close to getting thrown out. Some people, you just get sick of listening to them. You don't want to listen anymore because it's just the same toxic garbage over and over and over again. I don't know if you guys heard about this story. This is another one where I don't even like these headlines this is a bad headline. This is a bad headline. The put a hood on him is a bad headline. Wait, are there multiple Bob? I think there's multiple Bob Robs in the chat. Because I timed him out and he's back. There might be two of them. Might have to get rid of all of them. Well, so just to be clear, hey, thanks to our mods, by the way. We got Mark Helton modding and Misha. Chromite. Yeah, so we're here live. Yeah, so basically what happened with this story is that, let me try to summarize it for you. So what happened is in March in Rochester, New York, basically a man, Daniel Prude, who's an African-American man, he had like this mental episode. And police found him on the street, like running around the street, I think trying to break into a car and shouting crazy things. He was basically acting crazy. And he was naked. And so they handcuffed him. And he's and I believe they called paramedics because he was acting like really weird. And then he's basically like, they're like standing around him while he's sitting on the ground or lying on the ground. And he starts spitting some, and eventually what they do is they put this, it even says in the article, it's like a spit hood. The idea is to prevent people from being able to spit on you, as my understanding is. So when you see, it's such a bad headline. I've seen a couple of newspapers with this headline. It's the worst headline because put hood on him. When the average person reads that, they're going to be like, wait, they just like put a hood on him like just for no reason because they like hated him because he was black or something? No, it was a spit hood. It says it in the article. So that's a really bad headline. But anyways, so they put this hood on him, and then I watched the video. And I'll tell you where you can find the video, but just to summarize, so they put the hood on him, and then he basically, it looked to me like he started trying to stand up, and they were getting a bit nervous at him trying to stand up, and at one point when he started to seem to be trying to stand up, they were telling him like stay down, and finally like a couple of officers like pushed him back down, and what happens is one officer gets on the back, starts holds his head down on the ground, pushing on the back of his neck, like with two hands. And then the other one has a knee, I think, in his back. And then basically after a couple minutes of being on the ground like this, he lost consciousness and he was brain dead. He was brain dead. He stopped moving. And then they put him in the ambulance eventually. The paramedics come, they put him in the ambulance and they get a heartbeat back, but he's just brain dead and he just dies 7 days later. So, I mean, essentially he died. And then what happened today is this video came out, and also I think the autopsy report might have been released. The autopsy said that he died from suffocation, but the suffocation was caused by a couple different things. But they were saying, I think it was like was suffocation due to restraint, and they said that he had some drugs in his system too. So what was the official? Asphyxia. Hold on here. The Monroe County Medical Examiner ruled Mr. Prude's death a homicide. Now, homicide, be careful. That doesn't mean, I think the language might just mean one person causes the death of another. It doesn't mean it's illegal necessarily. Caused by complications of asphyxia, lack of oxygen, in the setting of physical restraint. Contributing factors were excited delirium and acute intoxication by PCP. So it's a little unclear. Well, it's not just a little unclear. First of all, let me show you where you can find the video. I'm not going to play the video, but I think if you want to understand the story, you might want to watch the video. Although it's sensitive, so don't watch it if you don't want to see something sensitive. But here, let me show you where you can find that. Right here. If you go to Facebook, you can find a lot of links to the story, but if you go to Facebook and you go to Free the People, the killing of Daniel Prude, okay? So you can find it there. You can find it there. And I'm not going to show it because I think it'd probably be a terms of service violation if I showed it. But it's to me, it's tough because first of all, I don't know if the officers were following procedure when they did what they did. When I see this kind of stuff with officers, and then, I always want to know, are they following the procedure they were told to do? So when this guy on the ground who was acting crazy seemed to me like he was trying to get up, was proper procedure to force him down on the ground and have one person behind him with pushing his head to the ground with both hands on the back of his neck, and then the other one with his knee in the back. Like, was that proper procedure? Maybe that's what they're told to do. I don't know. Is that what they should be told to do? I don't know. And also another question about this is, obvious question is, would they have, was their treatment of him in any way affected by his race, by the fact he was black? I don't know the answer to that question. It didn't take, this was not like a 15-minute leaning on him thing. I think it was only a couple minutes that it takes from the time they push his head down until the time he stops moving. Let's see if it says here. And also, how much did the hood contribute to this? How much do these hoods, how much do hoods cause? Can they contribute to somebody like, having an injury or dying if they're being restrained? That's a whole other issue. The video shows one officer placing both hands on Mr. Prude's head and holding him against the pavement, while another places a knee on his back, even as the hood remains on his head. One officer repeatedly tells Mr. Prude to stop spitting and to calm down. After 2 minutes, it only took 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, Mr. Prude is no longer moving or speaking, and the same officer can be heard asking, "You good man?" So this was not like them just sitting there on top of him for 15 minutes or something. I don't even know. Some people are asking about what the fabric of the hood is, and I don't even know. So again, the basic story here is you have, what just happened? Hold on a second. Did that mess up? Let me check something real quick. Hang on here. The YouTube has been behaving a little bit oddly. I'm just checking something here. Nope, I think we're okay. So my basic point here is you have a case where a guy, again, he was acting crazy. They put handcuffs on him right away. You can see in the video, they put handcuffs on him right away. He's on the ground. They call for paramedics, apparently. He's like yelling and saying crazy stuff on the ground. And then he's spitting. They put a spit hood on him. And then it looks like he might be trying to get up. At that point, a couple of officers, 2 or 3, get on top of him, and one holds his hands on the back of his head and pushes his head on the ground. The other one puts his knee on his back, and within 2 minutes, he basically dies. Well, he goes unconscious and he's brain dead, and then he eventually dies a week later. But he was brain dead, even at the hospital, and his heart stopped actually on the ground, So the video just got released, and the autopsy said he died. Again, homicide. It says homicide, but I think that's not. Doesn't. I don't believe in medical examiner language that means illegal. It just means one person killing the other, or something like that. Caused by complications of asphyxia, not having enough oxygen, in the setting of physical restraint. Excited delirium and acute intoxication by PCP were contributing factors. Then there's this whole thing about excited delirium, what that means. That's a term that's not recognized by medical professionals, but that police have frequently used, and it's a controversial term. Let's see is there something more about this? Where's I'll show you something more about that. So I'm trying to just give you a picture of the basics of what happened, but I would encourage you, if you wanted, it's sensitive, so don't watch it if you're sensitive, but if you do want to see more about what happened, the video is there on Facebook. And then, another thing you wonder about is so he's on the ground, he's in handcuffs, and he kind of moves to get up, and then they, push him down on the ground. Did they really need to do that? Like, was there no other way of keeping him on the ground than having one person pushing his head down on the ground on the back of his head and the other one with the knee on the back? Was there any other way that they could have done this without that would not be such a risk to him? And Darren says, I wonder if the drugs in his system played a part in him dying. And I don't know that. Like, how much did that contribute? That's a good question. Like, how much was that a factor? Rivers says, I'm familiar with using restraints holds in a way that with mental health scenarios, they can do it without asphyxiating them. What went wrong here? Buttons says, what went wrong was that he was acutely on PCP, bro. Well, Buttons, that seems like a pretty bad take to me, because that doesn't even say that's not what the medical examiner said. The medical examiner said that was a contributing factor, but they didn't say that was the reason he was asphyxiated. Kisei says, I have to wonder if the restraint was improperly applied in the heat of the moment. Patrick Peterson said that the hood in the rain caused unintended waterboarding. Well, it didn't look like it was snowing a little bit, but not that much. As to what role the hood played, I don't know. But so this is another story where I just want you to be careful. If you run across this story, I would not immediately assume you know what happened and that, oh, it's definitely a case where police acted terribly and unreasonably and this is awful. Also, I wouldn't immediately assume that race was involved in how the police acted. I don't know. Also, I wouldn't assume it's the case also where the police are totally free from fault. I don't know. It's a complex case here. Take Me to Your Leader says they could have given him ketamine to calm him down. They had a plethora of options, but the men and women in blue always go straight to overwhelming force. That's what, I don't know what options they have. That's a good question. In what role the hood played, I don't know. River says, were officers aware of the drugs in his system when they arrived? I do not know. Can they use a taser? I do not know. Also, yeah, how much does this happen? One of our viewers mentioned, if I can find the comment, one of our viewers was mentioning about the possibility of this happening to, say white people and not being reported. I would be interested in knowing, is this the kind of thing that happens with some degree of frequency? Who does it happen to? Here, let me just show you another quick article about this. And again, I'd love to be able to show you the video, but I just can't. There's a very good article in one of the Rochester papers about this. Where is it here? Here it is, right here. This is very good. It's from Democrat and Chronicle. Oh, okay. You can actually find the video here. Democrat and Chronicle, how Daniel Prude suffocated as Rochester police restrained him. I actually can post this link. I'll just post the link right now. I'll post the link for you so you can go look at it. I'm posting the link in the chat right now. I just posted it. So let me just see if I can summarize this without reading the whole thing. A black man died of asphyxiation early this year when Rochester police officers trying to take him into protective custody pinned him to the ground while restraining him. The incident just became public today. There was a late morning news conference at which Daniel Prude's family and local activists called his death a murder and demanded the officers be fired and charged in his homicide. Okay? The county medical examiner said Prude's death was a homicide. Again, I think there might be a specialized way that medical examiners use that. How do medical examiners use the word homicide? Manner of death versus legal conclusion, homicide. Forensic resources. Medical examiners' use of the term homicide might confuse jurors and attorneys. When a medical examiner identifies a manner of death as homicide, they are not drawing a legal conclusion. Homicide is simply one of the classifications of death they use. Homicide occurs, according to the National Association of Medical Examiners, homicide occurs when the death results from a volitional act committed by another person to cause fear, harm, or death. Homicide, when used by medical examiners to classify the cause of death, is a neutral term and neither indicates nor implies criminal intent. So they called it a homicide. That doesn't mean it's illegal. Okay, so where is it here? That's right here. The medical examiner said it was homicide caused by complications of asphyxia, not having enough oxygen in a setting of physical restraint. The New York State Attorney General's Office is investigating the officer's conduct. Public disclosure of the case and release of the video could make Rochester the latest in a series of American cities to be embroiled in controversy. This video depicts at least 3 officers holding Prude lying down and forcing his head and chest into the pavement for several minutes until, apparently unnoticed by the officers, he stops breathing. The events are indicative of how the rules of engagement that police use can result in harm to a suspect or person in the throes of a mental health episode. And then some background here. Joe Prude, the brother of the victim, said, there's something about, he said he called 911 for help early March 23rd after his brother exited his home. Joe Prude, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I just want to get to the details of what actually happened. Daniel Prude was suffering from acute mental health problems when Rochester officers detained him in the early morning hours as he walked naked and bleeding down Jefferson Avenue in Rochester. His family told police they suspected he was under the influence of the powerful drug PCP. They said he might have ingested it unknowingly. So the police knew he might be on PCP. Prude had ridden the Amtrak train to Buffalo but was thrown off the train there. After being driven to Rochester, he began to act out. After jumping head first down the basement stairs, his brother Joe Prude called police for help. Prude was taken to the hospital for a mental health evaluation on March 22nd, the day before this happened. After some hours of stable behavior back at home, Prude ran out the back door of his brother's house at 3 a.m. Police believe Prude broke windows at a West Main Street business as he walked along before officers found him. He had left his brother's home wearing only long underwear, tank top, and socks. He took off his clothes. He was naked. Prude was ordered to lie on the ground and place his hands behind his back, which he did. If you watch the video, as soon as they say get on the ground and put your hand on his back, he does. And then within like seconds, they have him handcuffed. Him getting down on the ground, once the police see him, he just goes down on the ground, he puts his hand behind his back, and they handcuff him right away. The video does not show Prude offering any physical resistance to the half a dozen or so officers. Police protocol was apparently to subdue and calm Prude and make what's known as a mental health arrest, which is not a criminal arrest, but is a civil detention for the purpose of getting the person treatment. Though handcuffed and on the ground, Prude remained agitated, squirming and shouting belligerently at times and spitting into the street. Now, this says he never got up, but it looked to me like he might have been trying to get up towards the end, because they were telling him stay down. When he started spitting, officers covered his face and head with a white spit hood intended to protect police from a suspect's bodily fluids. So it was a spit hood. Prude had claimed to officers he was infected with coronavirus, which likely raised concerns about his spitting. Okay. Yeah, see, look, 4 minutes after the police arrived, he yelled, give me that gun, I mean it." As he yelled, he scooted on his rear at an officer and appeared to be trying to get to his feet. At that point, officers immediately pushed him over. An officer identified in the video used both hands with much of his weight behind them to forcefully push the side of Prude's head into the pavement, essentially doing a triangle push-up on his head. Another officer used his knee at one point to hold down Prude's torso, and a third held down his legs. The officer who held down his head said he'd used a certain procedure. In the video, Prude's movements can be seen to become less frequent. His incoherent shouts become whimpers, and he falls silent. The timestamps on the video show Vaughn pushed down Prude's head for 2 minutes, 15 seconds before letting up and saying, "You good now?" And the man did not respond. He resumed by pushing with one hand for 45 more seconds. Then the EMTs come. So that's a summary of what happened. But I posted the link, so you can watch. Again, it's a sensitive video. Don't watch if you're sensitive. But the video is public now. So, anyways, again, questions I have are: was that procedure the procedure they're told to follow? Maybe it was. Is that if that is the procedure, should it be the procedure? Was there no other way to get this handcuffed man on the ground who wasn't like running around? He just seemed like he maybe was ready to get up. Was there no other way of subduing him other than this procedure that they used? These are all questions I have. Was their action in any way influenced by the fact he was black or not? Don't know. Our viewer Sparky's Cove says, very sad, but I don't get the impression that there was any malice. Look, I will say this. When I watched the George Floyd video, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. This is ridiculous. When I watched this video, I was really sad about it, but I was just like, I have so many questions about this. I mean, it looks to me like bad when they're pressing on his head into the ground, but then I don't know, like, is that maybe, it's not somebody with a knee on the neck, and I'm like, is this maybe what they're told to do in a situation like this? Also in the George Floyd video, well, in this video, you see the man, and he is acting really crazy. The George Floyd video, you don't see the before, but the George Floyd was not acting like this before. But and then the amount of time in the George Floyd video that they're on top of him is different than the amount. This is 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So I didn't have the same visceral reaction to this as I had to the George Floyd video. But a part of it is that I have so many questions about what procedure is and stuff, and I can't feel like I can intelligently assess this. It sucks. It's terrible this happened. I feel terrible for the guy and the guy's family. But it's one thing to feel sad and terrible about what happened. It's another to be able to intelligently judge whether there was wrongdoing by the cops, and I just don't know. I mean, one thing I thought when I saw it was, isn't there any other way they could have gotten him on the ground? I mean, I will say I thought this. I thought, like, wow, is this really the only way of keeping this guy on the ground? Like the two hands in the back of the neck and like pressing his face to the ground really hard, it seems like. Is that really, did they have to do that? I definitely thought that. So that certainly struck me as uncomfortable when I watched it. Minibit says, seems a bit of abuse of force. I hate to say, I hope these guys get some time out with no pay or taken off the force to reflect. Handcuffs and many police around, a bit too much force. That's what Minibit thinks. Rita's Real says this case does appear to be complicated with several different factors. Darren says, if the guy was acting that irate, couldn't they have shackles? Yeah, I mean, can they not handcuff someone's feet or is there just no way to keep somebody on the ground besides pressing their head into the ground? Le Petit Silver, this channel's not monetized yet. To get monetized on YouTube, a channel has to have a certain number of broadcast hours, and we just haven't been on the air enough yet. So hopefully soon, when we do a few more broadcasts. Kisei says, don't know what to think, just feel sad. Celine says, even though the officers were joking before, I don't think they meant to kill him. Yeah, another aspect of this, if you watch the video, is you hear officers joking around a bit. For me, I felt a little uncomfortable with their joking, but at the same time, I mean, he was acting crazy, and so, I don't want to sit here and cast. I don't know how officers normally react. I mean, you hope they take it seriously enough, and certainly there's some, he's on the ground, it's cold out, nobody offers him a blanket or anything, but I don't know if they're not allowed to do that. So it certainly felt a little uncomfortable to me to have some of the joking going on. But, I'm not a police officer. I'm not in that situation much. I don't know what they normally do. maybe that's a way they cope with the situation. Because he was saying some he was talking about his private parts, and he was saying some pretty outrageous things to the police. So I can understand why they might react that way. So I don't know what I think about all the joking stuff. Watch for yourself if you want to. Celine says it's incredibly scary trying to deal with a mentally ill person on hard drugs. I feel for his family. Button says, is being acutely high on PCP really a mental health episode? Seems like a dishonest way to report it. Well, I don't think it's just the PCP thing. I believe, if I'm remembering the story right, that the family said he was having... He had already been taken to the hospital the day before for mental health stuff. If we go down here. Let's see here. He rode the Amtrak to Buffalo but was thrown off the train there, his brother later told police. After being driven to Rochester, he began to act out. After jumping headfirst down the basement stairs, Joe Prude said he called police for help. Prude was taken to Strong Memorial Hospital for a mental health evaluation. So I don't know. And then he would... So look, it's a fair question. I don't know to what degree the PCP was playing a role in his acting this way. I don't know if he'd had mental health issues before this happened. So I just don't know. Maybe both were a factor. I do not know. Julian Phillips, our viewer, says, I truly believe there should be no police contact for mental health patients. Well, now in this case, you might need police contact because you have this, man naked. You might need to use some force to restrain him. I mean, there's that. You got to get the guy in restraints. So at least for that part of it, you're going to probably need police. Patrick Peterson says, will this cause more riots and protests? I don't get the sense that this is going to be seen as equivalent by a lot of people to George Floyd. It's very sad that he died, and I think it's certainly worth looking at, but I don't think a lot of people will have the same reaction. I mean, my reaction was just I have a lot of questions. Yeah, Risa Renee says this happened in March and the video was just released. That's an interesting thing too. I think I read an article about that the family had requested the video be released. It wasn't like the authorities that released it, like the family requested it and then they released it. I think. Let's see if it says it in here. Maybe the New York Times article says it. Let's see here. Oh, we didn't even talk about excited delirium yet. That's a whole other thing. Yeah, anyway, I can't find the stuff about the video, but I believe the family requested the video be released. Here's the thing about, we're not covering that anymore. We did that. Okay, look, The report, the autopsy report, listed several health conditions, 2 different lung diseases, heart inflammation, and brain injury that were complications of his death. The report at one point indicated the cause of death was complications of asphyxia in the setting of physical restraint due to excited delirium due to acute PCP intoxication. That is, as if the PCP intoxication caused excited delirium, which prompted the physical restraint that deprived Prude of oxygen and left him brain dead. The term excited delirium and the concept behind it is a controversial one. It is often applied to suspects who aggressively resist police detention efforts. Officers and pathologists frequently assert the suspects are high on drugs. Critics say the term excited delirium has no formal meaning in medicine and is used as a way to explain restraint behavior of suspects and to normalize officers' aggressive responses. It is most often applied to young men of color, some have asserted. So there's this term called excited delirium, which sometimes police will use, among others, but it's not a formally recognized medical term, I believe. There's another article that talks about that too. Where's that here? That's from this place called this publication called The Appeal. The Appeal. They say excited delirium is a controversial diagnosis often cited by law enforcement that isn't recognized by major medical professional organizations. BLM says there's a mental health crisis in the U.S. that has to be incorporated into the standard response for these calls. It will get worse. I think I might have misspoke before. He died on March 30th, but the video's from March 23rd. He was brain dead for a week in the hospital. The audio is echoing. It shouldn't be echoing. Is the audio echoing for anyone else? No one else has mentioned it. Oh, I bet I know what it is. It is echoing. I'm sorry. What happened is, I apologize. I opened up another window with the broadcast and I forgot to close the window. So I think for a moment it might have been echoing. Okay. All right. So anyways, it's a complex story, and just another story where I just think what actually happened is quite complex, and also the put hood on him is just not a good headline. That's not giving you enough context. I mean, they put a spit hood on him because they were worried because he was spitting. So, Holo Amasim says, persons willing to spit bite, no need for a weapon. They can be the weapon even if zip tied. They also have legs to kick. It's a tricky situation. But I saw multiple articles with that kind of headline. All right, well, I think we talked about those 2 stories. They're not very easy to cover because they're complex, and we just really scratched the surface of them. I mean, I feel like we kind of blew through the stories, and yet we've been on the air for an hour and 40 minutes. Armando says, makes it look like a lynching because of the hood. Yeah, the picture makes it look, it's just not. I think it's an irresponsible headline and picture. So anyways, I think we can cover stuff. With this channel, it's a little different because I think on the other channel, it's more like, sorry, with this background, my hair kind of flickers some, by the way. Sorry. But anyways, the other channel with Agenda Free TV, it's more like breaking news stuff and trying and more. This is more like, here's a story and, it got some attention today and it's kind of complex and here's what's here. I don't really know what to think about it and let's discuss it for a bit. So felt like more this channel to me. Hey, thanks, Kisei, for your kind words. But I appreciate you guys tuning into this late night update. Also, thanks to our mods. By the way, I don't even know if this is searchable on YouTube. Can anyone find this on YouTube? Like if I search right now on YouTube for Daniel Prude, will I find this stream? If I search for live Daniel Prude filter live, or will it just not come up? Oh, it does come up. See, it's searchable. It's searchable. It comes right up. That's good. So at least people can find it. But I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate our moderators. Mark Helton, Misha has been there. Chromite. Big thanks to the mods. And thanks for saying thanks in our chat. Heidi Costa. Lisa Renee, hey, you finally made it. Yeah, we still haven't even formally introduced the channel yet. I'm probably gonna have to do that soon. Soon I will formally, I'll do a stream on Agenda Free TV where we introduce this channel. Thanks, River, for watching. Missouri Cowboy, thank you for watching. Yeah, Patrick Peterson, I'm going to do a support chat with YouTube and tell them that the name is still under the old name, even though I switched the name of the channel like a week ago. So they have not fixed the switch of the name. Hey, Armando. Thank you, Armando, for subscribing. By the way, Armando, I need to fix this too. I need to link the channel. Armando, my other channel, this is like a new channel. My other one is just called Agenda Free TV. So if you like this, Armando, you might want to check out Agenda Free TV because that's the channel I've had for a longer time, and we cover all kinds of news there. Agenda Free TV. This is Agenda Free TV too. So check out Agenda Free TV. I need to see if I can link the channels now. I was going to wait until I officially announce the channel. We're still like doing a soft launch of this. All right. Thanks, Void Moon. Yeah, I was waiting to add it. I was waiting to add it to the featured channels. I didn't want to add it before I'd actually launch the channel. So, but soon I'm going to do an announcement. I'd actually like it to be searchable too before I launch it. But soon I'm going to do a broadcast on Agenda Free TV where I actually introduce this channel. All right, thanks, Terry, for watching. Thank you, Phil Laragoit, who says late night politics might be a fun angle. Thanks, Heidi Costa. And thanks, Sam Clem. All right, Patrick Peterson, thank you. All right, guys, I'm wrapping up this live stream. I really appreciate you joining for this late night news. And we'll be doing more news coverage on all the channels. We will have more news coverage. And thanks again for the mods. Appreciate it, mods. Oh, thanks, Posiwi and Celine. All right, guys, that is it for now. We're not monetizing this channel, but you can always donate at agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But hopefully soon, we'll do a few more broadcasts, and this channel will have super chat and everything. Soon. Mark likes the idea of doing Sunday night news. All right, guys, I'm wrapping it up. Thanks, guys, for joining, and we will see you soon on one of the channels with more live coverage.